Hello, everyone. It is Danielle Gray, MBA from DGTV. And basically, what I wanted to come up with was being able to talk to some really awesome people and speakers and talk about what they do, how they've gotten to where they are, but also like how you step up and how you speak up for yourself. So the series name in DGTV is called SpeakHer. So I am focused on my ladies out there. And today we have Lindsay Diven, which is one of my favorites. I don't even know if you know when I first engaged with you, but I joined your email list like a while ago, and I was like, man, this is cool. This is cool content, and
Oh,
I'm
great.
tired
I
of
didn't even know that.
yeah. I mean, because I still get your emails today, but I don't think I connected it the first time we
Mhm.
met. And I was like, wait, that's the marketers take flight lady, and that's what stuck. So before we get started, I'm gonna kind of do your intro, your bio, so people know.
Okay.
So Lindsay is a marketing professional serving the AEC industry. Woot woot, we're in the same industry. That's architecture, engineering, and construction for those that don't know. For over 15 years, she currently is a senior consultant with Full Sail Partners. And in this position, she works with clients to implement Deltek's CRM system, as well as Black Box Connector that brings your CRM data to systems like Constant Contact and MailChimp, which are my faves.
Mhm.
She also manages Marketers Take Flight, which is what I was talking about, an AEC industry-specific marketing and business development training company. And then in your most recent position, she served as marketing and business development director and a board of director for a 300-person AE firm, which I learned recently. I was like, that's pretty badass. Um, and in her role, she's a member of the executive team responsible for leading the firm's marketing and business development strategy, oversaw 6 market lines with team of 16 sales and marketing professionals. So very much a CPSM. And let's see, you're married to an amazing man, 2 kids, Labradoodle.
Mhm.
That's amazing. I love
Hopefully you won't. Hopefully you won't hear him
right,
today.
right. And addicted to home renovation, which I definitely check out your Instagram and love, and definitely a Florida Gator to the heart of you. I see it
Mhm.
very much on your social media as well. So thank you so much for being a part of SpeakHer DGTV today.
Well, I am so excited to be here. I am so happy that you invited me to be on here, and so thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for having
no.
me.
Of course. I want to jump right into it because this is supposed to be
Mhm.
a pretty short format interview type
Mhm.
to just get to know you, but also get some of your gems that you have as well. So how I'm going to
Okay.
start every one of these interviews is doing I always ask people what their superpower is. It's just like I don't really always ask people what they do because they're used to that question. So let's just jump into it. What is your superpower? What do you feel like
Yeah.
is your superpower?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I
Mhm.
love it, other than
Thank
what
you.
you do. So good question to start with. So I
Mhm.
didn't really think about this. I don't really know how to put it into words, but I think I am really good, or my superpower is thinking a couple steps ahead and then
Nice.
knowing how to take, what to do next because I'm thinking 3 steps ahead.
Nice.
And I think I discovered this when I started working on proposals
I
in the
bet.
AEC in, in the AEC industry, because I knew I had to get the proposal in
Mhm.
on time, but I didn't always. But I had to think a couple steps ahead just in case I didn't get a piece of information that I needed, or it wasn't the right piece of information. So
Right.
I don't know how to put that into a phrase, but I think that way all the time, even when we're doing home renovation projects. I'm like, okay, well, if we have to paint the door, then we got to do this, this, and this first,
Right,
to
right.
the steps in order. So
That
whatever you
is
want to call that.
no, that is a superpower. I feel like it's like a insane proactivity that you have, like a keen sense of being like, you know what? I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm gonna be prepared for it. And
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome. So when did you feel like you really not just saw that you had it, but really embraced it? Like, no, that's my thing. I'm good at that.
I mean, I think it was when I started as a marketing coordinator,
Mhm.
but when I really started hiring and managing people, I think
Yeah.
because I had to kind of think a couple steps ahead of what they were going to do to help guide them.
Right.
So I think that's when I really was like, oh, well, I'm kind of good at this.
Right.
This is this is it. Not to toot my own horn, but we got to.
Yeah, no,
So,
we do, for
and so
sure.
I think between that and having two kids and a husband, I think really I was like, yeah, I got to think a couple steps of,
Right.
okay, what are they going to do next?
Right, right,
So,
right. And I think that that's something even like the not to toot our own horn, but I also think that we definitely have to, especially as women, be okay with being like, yeah, I'm really good at that, and I
hmm
see a lot of women and people overall, they're like, oh, just being really modest. And I've always been that way, very modest, but then I'm like,
hmm
you can only go so far. I saw this quote. It was like, modesty is a nice ornament, but it weighs on you if you're trying to move up. And so I
Hmm.
was like, wow,
I
okay,
like that.
well,
I
maybe I
like
need
that.
to start embracing, like, yeah, I'm good at this. So this is kind of how this is happening.
Good.
The beginning of DGTV was the main reason that. So I really love the idea of marketers take flight. So can you tell us more about what it is? How did you even come up with this
hmm
idea? Where does the take flight come from? Just some background on it.
Yeah, so I started it. I officially launched the website in 2012, but it was an idea that was in my mind for a couple of years, mostly again back when I started, became a marketing manager and had staff under me. I was training staff.
Hmm.
And so I was putting together material, I was researching materials, asking anybody
Ah,
I knew, and just compiling all this information. And I'm like, not like everybody shouldn't have to do this, like go through
right,
this work. There should just be a set of tools. It was back in 2012, so this kind of when Facebook had been out, iPhones were out, but the online learning was still relatively new. So I was like,
right.
why don't we capture this? Now it's taken me a little bit longer. So it started as a blog, and last year I launched my first online course, and this year we're going to do some more online training. And so via ebooks or micro learning, and so I see where it's like, okay, I need to learn how to do something, let me just go to a link, download it, and learn it, because that's kind of where we're at now as a society,
For
as
sure.
we want instant instant learning.
Yeah, and
And
I love
so
that you just went and
and
you shared it, like because not everybody does it. Like, oh, this is mine. So it's
right.
just cool that you shared it. Very cool.
Yeah, so and I really wanted to just help other marketers, especially marketers where they're the only marketer in the firm,
Mhm.
and so they don't even have anybody like a colleague to really ask. So
Right. Or barely have the time probably to even do that at all.
yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. So where do you see it headed? I know you now have like these online courses. Do you see like, in-person events? Like where do you see marketers take flight going?
Yeah, I definitely want to continue leveraging the online
Hmm.
because there's engineering and architecture and construction firms all over the country,
Yeah,
and I can't be all over the country.
that is true.
Uh, I mean, I try to be,
That
but
would
I
be a
can't.
superpower. That would be a
Yes.
superpower.
Yeah, so continuing that, and just in maybe this year, my theme is infusing a little bit more fun. So this learning doesn't have to be so drab. So
Right,
look for some surprises with that to deliver. Proposals aren't always the most fun topic to
right.
talk about, but how can we make it fun or a little bit more exciting? So I'm gonna get on my creative hat for that later
Nice.
this year.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for fun. If
hmm
anybody's ever gone to my presentations, I don't take myself
Oh yeah.
seriously. I love what I talk about, but I think that there's definitely something to, having
hmm
that fun and remembering that you're a human, like I'm not
Yeah.
just a worker, I'm a person that laughs too,
hmm
So
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. So the next question I have, when did you start speaking? Was this like something you were doing in your firm before, or is it after marketers take flight? How did you get into it?
Well, I was speaking, I worked in a rather large engineering firm. And so my first quote unquote presentation, I was asked to speak at a marketing retreat. So
Okay.
there was about 30 marketers. So that was inside our firm. But outside, public, I will say, public speaking, it was really at the start of Marketers Take Flight. It was for an SMPS, Central Florida chapter. They brought me in for a lunch and learn. At that time, they called them Coordinators Club, and I talked about editing and writing and
Nice.
grammar. And then at the end, I was like, oh, by the way, I have this new website. And so it was part of a launch strategy. And so that was back in 2012. And ever since then, I just made I submit to present and then I get asked to present.
Mhm.
So it's been a wild ride since.
Yeah, the whole submittal process and knowing when things are happening, that's something I'm still trying to learn, which I feel like I should have somewhere, like, just there should be a place that you can see all the speaking events that come up. I
Oh, that
don't
would
know,
be
that would
great.
be really helpful. I don't know who has the time, so hopefully somebody is listening and can
Yes.
do that for us.
Yes.
I'm trying to create DGTV right now. I can't even do that right now. But I actually wanted to tell you too, with the Marketers Take Flight and our conversation that we had, I think it was in DC, it
Oh,
really helped
yeah.
me understand, like, you can really take the online route as well. Because I love people and I'm like, no, I want to
Hmm.
be only in front of people. But to your point, there's people all around the country, around the
Hmm.
world, that could use this information. So I was like, you know what,
Yeah.
Lindsay's right. Let me really put on my thinking cap and be able to bring myself to online, because that's what
Hmm.
I was concerned about. I was like, how do I still be myself and I don't have people right in front of me.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of talking to yourself, but it's cool.
Yes, yeah. It's definitely different
Yeah,
being like on a camera in your
yeah,
room, in your
right,
office,
right,
compared to in front of an audience, a live
yeah.
audience. Definitely,
There's
it's a
definitely a
different
lack of,
practice.
yeah, it's like the energy. I actually have to, like, listen to music and, like, get myself into it because I'm used to the audience giving me the energy back. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, that's not happening this time. But I
Yeah.
do get it in the questions and stuff. So I'm grateful for everybody that joins. So
Yes.
yes. So okay, I have another question for you. What would you advise, specifically women that are trying to speak? Do you have any presentation advice, or even, any advice at all, going off on your own, creating your own path? Like, what's some advice that you have, for women and people in general?
Well, my first piece of advice is just do it. Like,
Yeah.
just go and speak. It's going to be scary, you're going to be sweaty, you're going to be nervous, but just do it,
Yeah.
because you won't know if you really like it until you do it.
Right.
Now, with that said, maybe start small. Speak inside your firm, like do a lunch and learn, to a bunch, bunch of folks in your firm, or go to a local organizational chapter and do, because it is different in front of a live audience versus online. Like,
It
so if
is.
you're comfortable doing, Instagram lives or Facebook lives, totally different in front of an audience.
It is.
And so, and then I would say the other piece of advice is talk about something that because it's so much and I say this
Oh,
to
that's so true.
when I would coach engineers and architects for shortlist presentations, I was like, listen, don't worry about what's on the slide. You know the project.
Right.
Just get up there and tell them what you know. They're going to be amazed at how smart you are and what you know. And so if you stick with that, you just feel more comfortable talking in front of people because you know the content.
Right. And that's really, I mean, and that's like that part of the passion that kind of comes out because you know the content so well. It's not even robotic, because I know whenever I do
Hmm.
my presentations, it's different every time, but because I know the information, it just
Hmm.
comes naturally. So that's a really, really good piece of
Hmm.
advice. So, how can people find you? I really want people to know about your marketer's toolbox that I already have looked through. I went through already yesterday. I was like, ooh, I gotta download that. So, can you tell us, one, how people find you and the marketer's toolbox and all the good stuff you have going on?
Yeah, so Lindsay Diven, you can just search me up on LinkedIn or come visit me over at marketerstakeflight.com. And the Marketer's Toolbox is just a free resource I just put together. It's a PDF, and I use a lot of software and a lot of tools, and I'm always looking for things to work more efficiently or more effectively for marketing and like scheduling meetings with people and stuff like that. So I put together a list of all the software that either I use today or I know people that use, and I put it in one PDF. So you can just take a look at it and download what could be helpful for you.
Hmm.
Um, and it might be some things that you haven't thought of before and will make your life easier.
Sweet, sweet. I know it's already made my life easier just by going through those, and it confirmed like, oh yeah, good. I am using these different platforms, so it made me feel even better about myself.
Oh, good, good. Well, I'm glad you downloaded it. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So with that, thank you so much for being our very first interview for DGTV and SpeakHer. And yeah, thank you so much, Lindsay. I really appreciate your time.